Hey, welcome to the Coder Kids podcast. This is episode number 2 with Leonard and Onyango, or Leo for short. Thanks so much for being on the program. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me for the second time. I'm excited and I'm happy and I'm grateful for everything that has been happening at the Kibera Coding Center for the kids, for the community. I appreciate the efforts, the teamwork.
Yeah, well, it has been our pleasure to really make it happen for you guys. So, first off, I want to just give some context here. So, this podcast is really just going to be a continuation and kind of a second half of the story that we did
Yep.
in the first podcast. So definitely feel free to listen to that. If you don't want to listen to
Yep.
it, I'll give a quick summary. But basically, Leonard reached out to a whole bunch of companies in the United States asking for help to teach kids how to code and help with funding. And basically, no one really reached back out. I thought I didn't know if it was legit at first either, but then it did end up being legit. I ended up connecting with Leonard and starting a pretty small GoFundMe to basically pay for tablets and a space over in Kibera, which is in the slums of Nairobi. And then the GoFundMe was fully funded thanks to y'all's just super generous support. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. So this, this podcast is really going to cover what happened since the project was fully funded and what's happened in those 5 months, and just to be clear about that whole process. And I will say right at the outset that other than GoFundMe fees, which are like 1% or something like that, 100% of the funds go to Kibera Coding, and they go to the actual project. My day job is to work for Coder Kids, and that provides me with enough money to sustain myself and my family. So all of the money that's donated to the GoFundMe goes directly to Leonard and to help these kids in Kibera actually learn how to code and actually do coding. So um, it took a while to finally ship the tablets, I will say. We bought, how many was it? Was it 11 tablets?
Yeah, there were 11 tablets. There was money for the repair for the multipurpose hall that we rented.
Yeah.
And we did the electricity. We paid for the Wi-Fi. It's not quite fast, but it serves the purpose for
Yeah.
now. Yeah, downloading the APKs, installing them, and all that. So it helped a lot. Yeah,
So
it helped
basically,
a lot.
this first round, like you're saying, you had to remodel like the facility, which is kind of uh, storage containers stacked on each other, right? Is that kind of what the building is made up of?
Yeah, it's a storage container stuffed on top of each other.
And we
Yeah, it's a
y'all
multi-purpose
painted
hall.
it and wired up the electricity, and you even got internet in there, which is actually pretty impressive. So that's awesome. So tell me, from the time that you actually got the Amazon Fire tablets,
Yeah.
what have you been doing with the kids? What kind of activities have you been doing? You just go for it.
Yeah, since I received the tablet, it has really improved my classes. Uh, those are one of the main teaching aids that I'm using. I got a few books from one of the schools that I engaged me to help them like integrate ICT in the new curriculum,
Okay.
which was launched by the government in the 2017. It has a lot of ICT going on. I realized in environmental programs there is even coding. They are instructed to come to the IT lab to see how animation works, the storyboarding, the sequencing, and I was surprised. So you see, mostly in the government schools that I've visited, they have equipped labs with equipment.
Oh, they
But in
do.
the
Okay.
schools within Kibera, informal schools within Kibera, are not privileged to enjoy such facilities. So us having the tablets is really a blessing to the teachers in the informal schools in Kibera, which are run by churches, organizations, and I think it has really improved the lesson. So what I do with the kids, I start by giving them the basic knowledge in computers, where they can know. We can use the notes, we can use the games. Uh, I use the Google, I use YouTube just to show them what happens when you get a tablet. Where do you go? What can you do with the tablet?
Yeah.
And from there, I introduce them to sketching programs, which I get APKs from the internet. I install, and then I teach them how to sketch, how to color, and from there I can show them the Scratch Junior,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
they can experience moving the sprite, just the normal moves, move left, move right, like do like four moves. They see the sprite moves, and maybe they can make it disappear, and that is exactly what I do with the kids, just to ignite passion on different fields of IT. So the tablets have really helped me to at least uh, pass the knowledge to the kids using examples. Yeah, I can tell them go to YouTube, search for these, read the examples, and that's exactly what the tablet has done to me to make the class enjoyable, make the class a bit reasonable, and the kids are always yearning for me to come to the sessions.
Nice. Well, that
Yeah,
is really great. So you go to these schools that are run by churches. Is it the church building itself that's the school, or is it like a separate building? Or
yeah. There's the center that the kids who are older. We have
okay,
like the grade 5 kids who can walk from their schools to the center,
okay,
and
yeah,
then I have younger kids who are at grade 3.
okay,
So those one I have to visit the schools, and then so the younger kids have like two schools with the younger kids, which doesn't give me a lot of work. So most of the schools are currently I have like 6 schools,
yeah.
which you find those are a total of 60 kids. So from the time that I received the tablet, I've reached like 60 children
Wow,
within 5 schools,
wow, okay,
which
yeah.
I find like twice a week I go to the multipurpose hall, and then once a week I visit the 2 schools which have the younger kids.
So you take the tablets with you to those, um,
Yeah, I
the
take the
schools.
tablets with me
Okay,
to those, yeah, the schools. So most of the teachers are interested because the new curriculum is called the CBC, competency-based curriculum.
okay,
Uh, yes, so the competency-based curriculum is more practical. You find when the teachers they are instructed not to ask the child what color is the sky. You send the kids out and come back to tell you what color they've seen. So
oh,
sometimes the
okay,
sky, sometimes it's cloudy, you find it's black. Sometimes it's clear, you find it's blue. So when I go with the tablet, most books they ask the kids, I want you to go and look for domestic animals,
sure,
or we want you to write a mail and send to your classmate. So you find the informal schools doesn't have that kind of infrastructure. Even the
okay,
classes, you've seen them, you find like it's just a hall splitted by some chipboards. So you find it's a hall with like 5 classes, just a
yeah.
big hall with 5 classes. Yeah,
Just kind
those
of
are
like a big
the
room.
school.
Is that?
Just a big room, just
Yeah.
split with some chipboards. But when the other teacher is teaching, you can hear them, and it's kind of chaos. So you
Yeah.
find when I
Yeah.
go there,
Yeah.
it's a blessing to them. So that's something that the Kibera coding. Maybe going to the schools. I once denied going to the school. I told the teachers, "Can you bring the kids to our center?" They pleaded with me. Say these kids are young, moving them from one point to another. It's kind of hectic. So I saw the need, and I had to like create time for the two schools,
Okay.
and then the other schools can visit our multipurpose center. So those are some of the things that besides teaching Scratch, besides the coloring, besides the games, educative games, it helps the teachers when I visit as a teaching aid just to cover up for the syllabus
Yeah.
because they have to skip those spaces because they don't have the resources that can make the kids see such kind of things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so those are some of the things that the tablets, however, feel they are because some classes there we have like 20 children, some classes we have like 7 children, some classes we have like 21.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's better than not having the tablets.
Yeah, and before all of this, I remember you sent me pictures, and
Yeah,
these are on the GoFundMe page, but you just had your old laptop, and
for
uh,
that it was even worse. I had just a laptop
and everyone
and
was just huddled around it, right?
yeah, they had to go around the laptop. So I had to demonstrate what has to be demonstrated. I have to do the theory, explain, and then I demonstrate in shifts.
Yeah, but
So
here they actually get to have hands-on, like an actual device and actually use it. I know, here in America where I live, we just kind of take that for granted. Just about everybody has a tablet and they own it. Something we went over last podcast was how a lot of these students don't even really have electricity in their homes. Is that, still the case?
yeah, that's the case. In fact, uh, Kibera, we really have like issues. There's a lot of political interest going on in
Okay.
Kibera right now. Yeah, where you find the previous electricity system was kind of illegal.
Yeah, kind of, or
Yeah,
really illegal. Yeah. Right.
very illegal. I was running away from that, but it's just illegal. That's the word.
Yeah.
So you find like somebody has just connected his, and then you can go speak to him, and then he can connect in another
Yeah.
house, and then the cycle goes on. So
Yeah.
the person who manages to connect the other guys becomes like a kind of an electricity cartel, which
Yeah.
they make a living out of it.
Yeah.
You have the connection, like you can steal like an electricity from that house without being caught, and then you can now supply it at a fee.
Right.
So currently, the Kenya Power and Lighting has a crackdown on that kind of electricity system.
Oh, wow. Okay. And that it would affect
So
all of Cubeta,
it's
right?
quite expensive just to go straight to the Kenya Power to connect electricity to your house or to your small plot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So currently, electricity it's it's there. You can find it, but it's quite expensive. So you find most houses have adopted some, the rechargeable lamps.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the rechargeable lamps. We have the solar charged lamps.
Okay.
Yeah, so you find most of the families have adopted that. You have like a solar powered small lamp. You charge it in the morning during the day, and then at night you can use it.
Mm-hmm.
Which it doesn't save a lot of power. You can use it for like 4 hours. So you must sleep. Yeah, like in 4 hours time you're supposed to have finished doing everything. So I always
Yeah.
look at a child who needs to do homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, you leave school at 6, you have to take a shower, you have to eat, and then by 8 p.m. you're supposed to have slept because you're supposed to be in school by 6.
Yeah.
So you look at that is quite a challenge. So that's why like we are looking at Kibera coding having a well lit safer space where children can access digital books to do their homework, and then just go back home in time, or they just leave school, come to Kibera Coding Center, do their homework, leave Kibera Coding Center, go home at maybe 7:20, take a shower, eat, and then sleep without depending on the lamp, which has a timeline.
Yeah.
Sometimes it has been raining the whole day, so you look, you imagine that kind of a situation. And it's something that happens. I have a lot of kids always telling me, "Teacher, can we stay and do our stuff here?"
Mm.
Yeah, and you find among the challenges, you see the multi-purpose hall. It's not only us who are using it. There's a lot of people. We have like 2 days. A day we have like 2 hours, and then after in the afternoon you find like there's a women meeting. During the
Okay.
weekends it's a church. In the evening there's a family, there's a wedding, there's a graduation
Oh, wow.
ceremony, and so it's
So
like a hall
all
that,
kind of stuff happens in this
yeah,
hall.
yeah, you
Like,
understand, yeah,
yeah, in
yeah,
the and in the, it's funny, like in the US, a hall is like the smallest room in the house, but originally, historically, the hall was like the giant room, right? Like in a Viking hall, it was like the whole building. So that's what you're talking about, right? So it's just kind of a building with a room in it. And so you're
yes,
saying like
yeah.
weddings happen here and school happens there, and then
Schools happening, yeah.
women's
This,
meetings and family meetings, and
yeah, it's a church in
does
the morning.
church happens too there?
It's a church in the morning. In the evening, it's kind of a party. People drinking and stuff. You, Kibera,
Okay.
Kibera is Kibera is a what do we call it? It's kind of an art.
It's you said it's an art. It's like it's a piece of art
Yeah, it's a piece of art. You see, like in the morning, it's a church. People are praying. In the evening, you find people partying, drinking, and stuff like that.
in the same place.
After
That's so amazing.
yeah, after 4 hours, like you find like it's a women meeting, a women group meeting.
Yeah,
Tomorrow, it's a political event. You see, like, yeah, it's a community center where they're also making money from. They're also trying to raise some money just to run their center.
for sure.
So they
Yeah.
don't care. Yeah, they don't care what you're coming to do. Yeah.
Wow, that is
So
wow. That's like the free market right
that's
there. The building's used for everything. That is quite
that's
impressive.
where that's the place. It's one of the best places which you can run this thing, but it's not a safer space as I put it. Like
Right.
uh, so that's why we really need like this is a pilot we've tried, and right now I exactly know the best place that this can happen.
Yeah.
We exactly know the resources that we need for a start. We exactly know the challenges, our strengths. Uh, it's like a benchmarking program where we've gone to schools and saw the need. What exactly do the kids need?
Yeah.
What exactly do we need in partnership with the schools? With the new curriculum, what exactly, if we like set up a center, like Kibera is big, Kibera hosts like 3 million people.
You said 3 million people?
Uh, and Kibera has 6 main villages.
Wow.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. You said 3 million
Yeah,
people
can you
in
hear?
how many villages?
6 main villages
6 main
within
villages.
Kibera.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so each village has a chief's camp. There's like an administration for each village.
Okay.
Yeah, like an administration place where there's a chief. Uh,
Oh, a chief.
he has like a chief.
So you're
Yes.
saying
Yeah.
that so this is not the official government of Nairobi, obviously. These are chiefs who are in charge of their like
Yes,
town
right.
or tribe or something. Is that right?
Yeah.
Do they
Mostly,
handle
mostly.
disputes?
So the chiefs mostly they just do the domestic cases. When there's a domestic
Domestic.
violence,
Okay, yeah.
there's crime.
Yeah.
maybe there's a political figure that's coming. So the chief is like a village kingpin. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
see,
yeah, yeah.
they, they have interest.
Even
So
though the chief is like unofficial, he's still like recognized as like the
yeah,
most
yeah,
official thing person there. Okay.
yeah, yeah. He is kind of like a village. The person who, if you want to reach the village, you have to go through him.
Yeah.
He knows, like, from the village there are small like groups
Okay.
where you can call. I want somebody and somebody and somebody to come represent a certain section within Kibera.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I look. Those are some of the things that I've seen where we have like 6 villages. We set up
Okay.
a coding center which kids can access the learning resources in one villages. And then you look at, okay, what happens to the other villages? Okay, how do we engage the other villages to benefit from, for the kids to benefit from whatever we are offering?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
my
so
question is, you know,
yeah,
you set up in one village. Is there free travel between villages, or is it just that it's too far to go to the coding center? Is the
it's
problem that
too
it's too
far.
far to walk? Okay.
Yeah, it's too far. Like you can look at the Kibera is like you can say like 5 kilometers square.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah, so you find like a village is like a kilometer across, so it's too far for the other villages. So
I see.
those are some of the things that I've learned. That okay, if we are talking about Kibera coding, the benchmarking project that we started with the 11 tablets
Yeah.
have really opened our eyes on the scope, what we, how many children we want to reach, and how many schools. So I've seen like it's quite a bigger call.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's quite a bigger
and so
call.
you'd have to really walk quite a bit. And there's no riding in cars or taxis or anything. I mean, are they dirt roads, or what's the infrastructure look like on the ground?
Currently, there are roads that have been built across the slum.
Okay.
Yeah, just around the slum. Just but inside the slum, it's still quite some squeezed pathways, but there's a progress.
Okay.
There are roads being built now. At least you can move from one village to other village, maybe with a motorbike,
Oh, wow.
or maybe
Okay.
if you have a car, you can move with a motorbike. You can move with a car and stuff like that. But the houses are still the muddy houses. There are still those small roads in between. So
Yeah.
it's quite opening up. Yeah. So by the time
And mud houses
we'll be have
with like metal roofs, right? That's what I've seen. Is that right?
yeah we have yeah the houses are muddy because there's also a problem. The government always has an issue with anybody who's trying to build like kind of a permanent kind of a house,
Sure. Yeah.
unless you are a church or an organization. And I
Okay.
think that's why we are pushing for like we formalize Kibera coding through registration so that it can be recognized by the NGO board, so that we can have like privileges, maybe to have like to build like a center
Yeah. I
in the
see.
name of like we are trying to bridge a gap, an education gap in the slums. So those are some of the benefits of having uh, Kibera coding officially registered with the right paperwork,
Yeah.
so that we
Yeah.
can have some privileges, so that we can have like that will help us even if we start a Kibera coding center in one village, we'll have an opportunity to get it in another village. So we have like coding centers in the 6 villages of Kibera.
Yeah, I mean that sounds it's incredibly ambitious, and
Yeah,
really
so
great. So
so
just to kind of summarize here, so round one kind of the GoFundMe was get tablets in your hands, get you a little bit of money so you can remodel a, what's essentially a storage container, to have electricity, to paint it, to make it nice, to get their, internet in there, electricity in there, and to pay rent for, a couple months. And then this new round of funding that we're trying to secure is really to get official and to, like you said, be recognized by the NGO board, and also just to get all of your paperwork in order and be officially recognized as a nonprofit organization, and to get kind of ongoing funding that way. So it's one of those, and this is why we really need your help, if you're listening into this podcast, because you need money to make money in this world, and you really are trying to do this for the kids, and so we definitely need all the help that we can get for this. And it's really incredible in all 6 villages, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds ambitious, but I like it. I think that's great. So this funding would help you basically do a bunch of boring stuff, but really important stuff, right? So government paperwork, forming an official organization, and then getting funding to kind of do what you did in one of these towns. I mean, that sounds really important.
Yep.
And we should mention you have a wife and kids too. So
Yeah. Sometimes when I think of the time you told me about our wives are kind of similar. I think all of them. Yeah.
it's pretty
She's
funny.
always yeah. She has a lot of questions. Uh,
Oh
so the
yeah,
time she asked me, "Do you think this will work? Can you just find a job?"
right. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I'm so volunteering. So
yeah,
when
yeah.
I'm busy, and sometimes uh, I even struggle to pay my rent. I even struggle to maybe sometimes the school fee for Milan. That's my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But I always tell her, oh, I'm volunteering. Sometimes a job comes from just volunteering in one of these schools.
Yeah,
Sometimes you have a job, but you don't just sit home with your skill. You just have to go out there and showcase. Maybe someone might recognize me. Uh,
yeah.
so I always tell her I'm passionate about this. Sometimes when I go to these schools, I see a lot of kids same age with my daughter, and I'm like, and they like me. They like my lessons. They like the tablets. Some of them ask me, teacher, can you just give me the tablets I bring you tomorrow? You see, they
Yeah.
always ask me. Sometimes when I go to the classes, before I mention that I'll be going back with the tablets, you find some of them like picking the tablet and they're like, okay, this is mine.
Right,
And then
right.
I tell them, okay, I'm going to another school so that other kids can also enjoy the games. So that's what pushes me when I look at these kids. My daughter is in another school, and I'm like, okay, what would I do what would I do if I was in my daughter's school? Would
Yeah.
I just disappear because I just want to go like find some job and just leave, ignore the kids? I get a day job and ignore the kids. So I'm always telling my wife that it's passion, and since I'm in between jobs, I can find time for these kids. It doesn't mean that I can't. I'm not looking for ways maybe to get my bills paid, get the school fees paid, get some money so that we can go out and have some coffee and lunch. So it's a it's a family thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes they won't believe until they see it happening.
Yeah, yeah. I think it,
with the tablets arriving, she even sometimes escorts me to the schools.
oh yeah, she does.
Yeah, I can tell her I'm quite far a bit, and I'm supposed to go to some of the classes. So we can meet halfway. She gives me the tablets, and I go do my classes, and then go back home in the evening. So
Wow.
he believed in the idea. The moment he saw the tablets arriving, I always showed that the fundraising.
Page, yeah.
These people are responding. There are people believing in the idea, and I think one day we'll have like a center where we can at least ignite passion in children and youth in different fields.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
and I think that comes back to your motivation, and you touched on this a lot on in the first podcast that
yeah,
we did, but it's these kids are the next thing. They're going to be running the future, and these kids
uh,
who are living in the slums really do need opportunities to learn how to code. I think we're doing a pretty good job in the United States. Roughly speaking, we're doing what we can to spread coding. We have scholarship programs as well that we run. We really, really believe in this, and so obviously, um, it'd be a bit hypocritical of me to say, well, I'm over here and I'm going to do coding with everybody, but you can't. And although, of course, I don't have to support everyone in their efforts to do coding, I'm really glad that we had the chance to connect so that I could support you and your efforts in an area, which I don't know if we'll ever be in person. I can't wait. Like, I would love to go to Kibera and meet you and your wife and,
yeah,
the schools and walk,
yeah,
lot of kilometers. I can't wait. But for now, I definitely want you to be able to, you know, keep doing what you're passionate about, which is
yeah,
teaching, and which is so
yeah.
essential, right? Um, so yeah, that's definitely. I know it's kind of a long pitch, but that's why we're doing what we're doing, because like we really believe in this, and we want to make it kind of a
Yeah,
permanent
there's a lot.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of hope. People have believed in it, and we have the tablets. We are moving around schools, and the schools are really welcoming it. And just something that made me confident is finding a coding exercise in one of the competency-based curriculum
Oh, really?
textbooks for grade 5. There's a teacher who told me she needs me for 4 sessions. She wants me to take the kids through the storyboarding and animation
Yeah.
and recording basic sequencing just to make like. So I asked the teacher if the school has a laptop or the school has a computer class with equipment. Told me the entire school doesn't even have like whatever they have is like a printer, a photocopier, a printer with an old desktop.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I asked her about the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. If at all they visited the schools, they're building a curriculum for schools that doesn't have equipment,
Mm.
and and that is something that hit me. I was like, okay, there's a problem with my country. You're building a curriculum and you've not done like the what do we call it? Sometimes like we did home study, or
Mm.
maybe the school studies. You just move to the schools. You build a curriculum for a system that you understand,
Yeah.
and those are some of the reasons that made me think of Kibera coding for the slum schools, which parents can't even barely afford uniforms. The children are allowed to come with any other uniform that they have. You're moving from another school because you can't afford the school fee for a public school. So when you come to the private schools, they don't force you to buy another uniform.
Wow.
So you're building an expensive curriculum for an informal school, So those are some of the things that I can't solve that, but I think with my skills I can mobilize so that we can have like a center with such equipment. Any school that can make their way to our facility can come and enjoy the digital textbooks.
Yeah.
The beauty of the digital textbooks, they can't get lost. You can't use them in the computer and then you go back.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
th- yeah, those are some of the things. Working in a school before the COVID-19, those are some of the things that I realized. So during the COVID-19, when I was just at home, I thought of such stuff, and then I was like, okay, now let me try and see if this can happen. We have a center. The government doesn't provide the equipment. Let's have a center, equip it, and then just tell the teachers to bring the kids. Or within the community, we just open the doors for children within the community. Children going to the informal schools can come and access such things. So those are some of the motivations. Those are some of the future plans. And when you asked about the villages, my thought was like implementing it a village at a time.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
and
that
yeah,
makes yeah, that makes sense. I don't know what to say other than, this sounds obviously like something that needs to happen. And, I'm glad that we can play our small part in actually making it happen, facilitating some of this stuff. We'll be sending over curriculum here very shortly that you can use as well that we've, developed over the course of 4 years. So hopefully that'll be useful as well.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just want to say, thank you so much for, you know, planning and meeting with me today and getting on the call. I really, really appreciate it. And, thank you so much for really all that you do for those kids. I'm sure
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah.
thank you, and they love to see you and learn coding and learn how to express themselves through code. And
Yeah.
those are skills I think everybody should be exposed to, regardless of where they're born or what color their skin is or what their family situation is.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
important.
Location. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. So I was putting up a point where we have like the 6 villages.
yeah.
My plan was implementation. We can do it a village at a time, where we can focus on a village, and then from that village we take it to another village,
Yeah.
and then the circle goes on. And at the same time, when we expand, we can have like it past Kibera, because there are other small slums within Nairobi
Oh, okay.
which are experiencing the same challenges. Mostly, the gap that we are trying to fill is more education.
Well, the gap is certainly there.
Yeah,
And what you're doing really, really matters, and it's very valuable to these kids. And I think you got some big plans, so we got to make it official. So definitely, if you're still listening to the podcast at this point, way to be a trooper. Thanks for sticking with it to the end. Please consider donating. This really makes a difference in the lives of these kids and in Leonard's life as well. And it certainly brings joy to my heart. So, I know obviously I've donated, what small portion that we have. And I can't wait to really see this thing take off and get official. So thank you so much for getting on a call with me. I really, really appreciate it. And sharing your story and sharing these
yeah,
developments, I think is essential. We want to be accountable with the money that you've donated. And so this is this is that, right? So thank you so much for supporting us up to this point, and we of course ask that you continue to support Leonard and all that he does, and such a good guy, man. Dude, I feel like lucky to know you, man.
Yeah, yeah,
I really do.
yeah. We met in some crazy way, so I think it's true friendship. And also I always appreciate for believing in my crazy ideas. Yeah, I'm just a boy from Kibera. Yeah, with some ideas. These are
Yeah.
some these are some of the things that I was just thinking about, and I'm like, okay, I'm just from Kibera. Who will listen to me? Uh, and that is something I want to change. I want to change the way these kids think. When you're living in Kibera, doesn't mean that nothing. It's Kibera is some crazy place where if you grow up there, you can't even believe if you'll make it in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes when we live in this is just a story. When we used to grow up in Kibera, sometimes when we went to a party or we went to a club, maybe the high school times, you won't even want people to know that you're from Kibera.
Mm.
Yeah, there's just next to Kibera. There's a nice estate called Karen. So we used to tell people we are living in the lower Karen,
Mm. Hmm.
so that we don't identify with Kibera because people always thought Kibera is associated with crime.
Mm. Yeah.
Uh, we didn't have like some nice clothes. Yeah, you dress well. When you're in Kibera, you see yourself. You've dressed well, but when you move to another place, you're like, okay, you look dirty and stuff like that. So even if you tell people you are coming from the lower Karen, they would just still they'll still see the evidence
Just still look at your
because
clothes and
Kibera
be
is muddy.
like,
So that
well,
those
are
are
you
some of the
really?
things that I just want to build confidence in these kids.
Yeah.
I think about them and I'm like, okay, it wasn't kind of a good feeling. So what we want to see is at least something good coming from Kibera.
Yeah.
Like the first coding center is in Kibera. So I would love people to come visit Kibera for good reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So besides that, we just want to get these kids also to be proud. I'm coming from Kibera, where there's a coding center. Yeah, that's some good news.
Yeah, and confident in themselves. It makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. I want the media for the first time to cover some successful story in Kibera because mostly in Kibera there's always even if you Google or if you go to YouTube,
Yeah.
the first 10 stories, like the seven stories are not nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
So that's Kibera for you. That's where I grew up. I was born in Kibera, went to school in Kibera, everything I did in Kibera. Yeah. So I just want to go back there and give some hope to these kids. Yeah. I've seen people.
Absolutely.
I've seen a lot of my peers getting into crime just to level up, but they never level up. They get killed.
Mm.
Yeah. So I just want to go back there. We can't save everyone, but at least everyone can do something for someone.
Man, I
So
I couldn't I couldn't say it better myself. Absolutely.
that's the story, man. That's the story.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks so much. Well, we'll go
Yeah.
ahead and end the recording, but thank you so much. And again, consider, if you're listening to the podcast, please consider donating. Obviously, the link is in the description, and any amount really that you can partner with would really, really help Leonard and his wife and these kids in Kibera, which is in Nairobi, Kenya. So, all right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for having me.